Welcome to this video series on how to make an app. My name is Susan Squire and I teach web-related classes at ASU's Polytechnic campus, and myself along with several others are going to be walking you through the steps on how to make an app. The very first step in designing an app is determining what content you want to deliver. This is actually one of the most important steps, if not the most important step. If you are going to take the time to build an app, you need to spend the time deciding exactly what information you want to share. If you're not sure about the content, the best way to start is to gather multiple people together for a brainstorming session. Ideally, you should include people that are similar to your target audience or the people that will actually be using your app. Hey, Matt.
Hey.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. This is Matt Ludwigs. He's a student at ASU. And he and I worked a little bit on brainstorming for this app. And together we decided that a cool app to make would be an app on how to build an app. So we brainstormed a little bit about what content we thought this app should have, and we came up with the following.
We basically decided that we wanted to include information on content, site maps, and wireframing, design, coding, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or native code, and how to launch the app. We also decided to share these videos and felt the best way to do this would be to set up a YouTube channel and link to the videos.
We then needed to organize our ideas into an outline. Remember all those English teachers that insisted you create an outline before writing papers and reports? Well, they weren't just doing that to create busy work. Creating an outline is an excellent way to organize your content to make sure you have included everything that you need. The outline can be a work in progress, meaning that you can add to it as you go, but it is a great place to start. Our outline isn't complete, but that's okay. We have enough content to start.
Once you have a good handle on your content, the next step is to decide the hierarchy or order of content. You can do this by creating a sitemap. If your app is very basic, you might be able to omit this step. Our app is simple, but we went ahead and created a sitemap to show you how to do it. This is basically a representation of the navigation. From the sitemap, you can see that we planned on having 6 links on the landing page that will take us to our content.
Once we know the hierarchy of our app, the next step is to create wireframes. A wireframe is a generic drawing of how the content will be laid out on the screen. The wireframe can be drawn by hand or can be done digitally. Here is a wireframe of the landing page for our app. We have created our wireframes digitally with the program called Balsamiq. You can easily draw yours by hand. It really doesn't matter. What is important is that the wireframe clearly depicts how the page will be laid out. If you want, you can wireframe every page. However, if the pages are going to look the same just with different content, it is not necessary to create multiple wireframes. What's important is that you know how each page will look. With this wireframe, I can see that when the user clicks on the sitemap wireframing button on the landing page, they will end up on the sitemap wireframing screen. I can tell by the wireframe that this screen will just have a list of links with a paragraph of text explaining the content. The user will navigate back to the home page by using the back arrow. It's important that your user be able to navigate on your site.
If your app has secondary navigation, then you might want to consider using breadcrumbs to navigate. Breadcrumb navigation shows the user where they are and what links they clicked on to get there.
So basically at this point, what you have created is you've created a prototype of your app. So at this point, it's a good idea to test your prototype. And you do this by asking people around you, friends, family, other students, or possibly people that might actually use your app in the future to test your app and ask them to do a small task. Perhaps see if they can navigate to the page that has the HTML code. And if they can do that, great. If they can't and if they struggle a little bit, it's time to revisit your wireframing and try and make it more user-friendly. You have to remember, it's not about whether you can follow along on your app, but it's whether your user can follow along on your app.
That was a brief introduction on how to start building an app. When you start building your app, be sure to remember your content, think about your navigation and your wireframing, and lastly, be sure to test your prototype to make sure that it works as you expect.